Hi, it's Jeff.
And Denise from Mousesteps.com.
And this is episode number 195.
195.
Of Mousesteps Weekly.
Sponsored by MEI Travel and Mouse Fan Travel. They have specialists for all sorts of Disney vacations, including Disneyland, which is what we're talking about today.
Yes.
Walt Disney World, Alani, everything. And the agents monitor for discounts, and there's no fees for services.
Worldwide travel coverage, That's for sure. Also, Theme Park Connection, our original sponsor.
They have all kinds of artwork that we saw online
Lots of artwork this week,
yes.
yeah. So check them out and mention Mousesteps sent you and get 10% off your online or in-store purchase. Also, our official ticket agency, Maple Leaf Tickets, the best deals on tickets in town. Check them out.
And we were in California. We only had a couple weeks to plan a trip when we had gotten invited to the Moana press day. It's one per outlet, so I was there. The film comes out November 29th. I can't really say too much about the press day yet, but in about a month I can. So I'm very excited to be able to share more about the movie.
And there you are on the Disney Studios lot there. It sounds like a very exciting day you had.
Well, they had like Jared Bush is a co-writer, and he co-wrote Zootopia and co-directed Zootopia, and like Ron Clements, and I want to say Clements because we know somebody named Clement.
That's right, that's true.
And John Musker. So it was really a lot of fun.
So lots to talk about coming up, but now we're going to talk about one of our favorite subjects, Disneyland.
And we had stayed at Grand Legacy at the park. We partnered with them, so we got a little bit lower. Well, they were very kind to lower the rate and make it possible for us to do this trip at a time when it was very expensive to stay there.
Yeah, all our usual places were totally sold out.
And we usually stay in Garden Grove, so this was, as far as location, absolutely a treat to be able to walk to the park in just a few minutes. Generally, I think from room to the park was about 10 minutes walk. But from their lobby, this is actually about a 2-minute walk from the lobby to kind of where you're entering into the Disneyland area.
Right. This is only double time. So if you slow this halfway, really it only takes about a minute to get from that sign to Disney, Disney property, which is this sign right across the street. So the longest wait is waiting for the traffic light.
It was really nice, and now I don't want to necessarily stay in Garden Grove anymore, but we'll see.
I'm very spoiled. Location.
It was great.
And we'll get more into that later as we leave and come back to the park a few times, though now it's magic morning time for us, 7 a.m. The park is just opening at Disneyland. This is available if you buy a 3-day or more ticket to the parks.
Right, you get one magic morning, and to me it's incredible to look at this and think that it's 7 a.m. because in Florida it doesn't look like daylight like this at 7 a.m.
Well, we're never out here at Florida at 7 a.m. So how do we know if it's daylight?
I'm a morning person, so I know it doesn't look like full daylight. And also, there's only select attractions open, but it's a good amount. Like in Fantasyland, I think it's about everything.
I think it's so cool. I mean, this is just a regular day. You have cast members there with the hands giving me the high five. There's excitement in the air. You're walking down Main Street, USA. Nothing like being at Disneyland first thing in the morning.
Well, especially when there's not as many guests in the park. Although, for most of our trip, it was like that all day long.
We were very fortunate.
It wasn't that busy, so it was really nice. There was a lot of blocked out passes, so that made a lot of attractions not with long lines.
And all the people that were there are all heading to one place, and that would be Peter Pan.
Well, not everybody, because we didn't go. Did we go to Peter Pan?
We did, indeed, we did.
Okay, well,
of course.
we went to Peter Pan too.
But Peter Pan was only maybe a 15-minute wait, at the very most a 20-minute wait. But that's right going straight there at 7 o'clock. So.
But then it became like 45 within a minute, a couple minutes.
And we've showed Peter Pan on our last Disneyland show. We showed the ride. So this time I'm showing Peter himself, who we met shortly after, just kind of standing around out there in Fantasyland. That's one thing I would love to see here at Walt Disney World's Magic Kingdom, is the characters kind of just being there.
I think it would be harder in Florida because it's more of a tourist, there's more tourists here, where this is very much a locals park. So I'm not sure if you could do it as much. I was going to say, he liked I have a new Gelatoni phone case.
Yes. Oh, yes. Peter Pan noticed that. Peter himself.
How does Peter Pan even know who Gelatoni is?
Peter Pan knows a lot.
That's what it seems like. And then we rode Dumbo, which is something we never do.
Yeah, I want to talk about that for a minute. Dumbo, just like Peter Pan, always has an incredibly long line at Disneyland. No longer does it have that kind of line at the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World because we have the dueling Dumbos.
I don't even pay attention here, because we can't see construction from it.
Yes,
We never
we
ride
used to
it.
ride it all the time when we were getting construction. But anyway, I hadn't ridden this Dumbo in years, and it was definitely worth doing because we were there so early. There wasn't much of a line. I would suggest if you are wanting to ride Dumbo at Disneyland, first thing in the morning, right after Peter Pan.
Well, especially on an extra
Magic
magic
day.
hour, or not on an extra magic hour day if you do not have the magic hour, because otherwise it's going to probably be very crazy.
Right, and it is nice. It's a delightful ride. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I would recommend doing it if you haven't done it anytime soon. Another favorite of ours, Casey Jr.
This is one of my favorite rides in the whole park. I mean, if there was one attraction that I want to go on every trip, it's the Casey Jr. Railroad. And this is an original Disneyland attraction, though you didn't have all this other stuff, I guess, around it at the time.
Now we're on Storybook Land, another classic.
That was quick.
Well,
I
you're
don't
going
even get to talk
you're going
about
to
it.
see Casey Jr. from Storybook Land. It is a combination.
Well, I was going to say that the Casey Jr. offers views of Fantasyland, including the Matterhorn and Storybook Land, which is
So does
here we are.
Storybook Land also offers those views.
Yes, but
My
and you can also
detailed,
see the Casey.
partner.
You can also see the Casey Jr.
And you're now inside Monstro the Whale.
I like the Storybook Land as well. Like, this to me feels like Walt could have ridden it.
And Walt would have seen Arendelle there on the right.
Well, the funny thing about the Arendelle is I heard a child before the ride started, and they were like, oh, Arendelle's on this. And the father's like, oh, no, Arendelle hasn't been with it because the ride is too old. So then eventually we got to the Arendelle, and then
The kid was
there
right.
it was, yes.
The kid knows better than
And
Dad.
I did not tell Dad that it was there. I figured he'd find out himself.
It wasn't that long ago that they added Arendelle. I think it was late 2014, and it used to be the old mill where the windmills were.
And
that,
I totally
Arendelle
had
is.
forgotten about that.
Yeah, and there's Toad Hall.
And this isn't the original spot for Toad Hall either.
Right, I think Toad Hall used to be where Agrabah
Yes.
was, so that's a very good observation there.
Well, it wasn't an observation, is what I read.
And there, of course, is Arendelle, which we just talked about earlier.
Right, and this is the 60th anniversary this year of the Storybook Canal Boat. So 60 years, which is incredible to me.
They also have a version of this at Disneyland Paris, which we rode a couple years ago, but I prefer the original, I think, by far. Oh, and here we have Rapunzel and Flynn Rider just kind of being around here in Fantasyland.
Well, they meet several times per day before their show, and that's over at the Royal Theater, which is very close to where they are right now. So to me, I was pretty amazed. Like, they have the stamina to stand out in the hot sun for, an hour probably each time, and then they go in and perform the show. So
Yeah,
they
that's
were
at the
terrific.
Fantasy Fair, right?
Right. I mean, it's the Royal Hall.
Royal Hall.
I think this is all might be called Fantasy Fair where they are now.
I see.
So it was nice. You don't see Flynn Rider too much here at Walt Disney World. So this is something I guess they meet every day together.
And we will link to that video because we asked Flynn about his lack of appearing, and he did give us the answer to that.
He does. Actually, he's in the Festival of
He
Fantasy.
talked
I
about
forgot,
being
yes.
in the parade, and there is Princess Merida, and we talked to her about her brothers and also about the upcoming Princess Elena that we'll be seeing soon.
Well, she's coming. Princess Elena comes next.
Of Avalor, right?
She's going to be in the Magic Kingdom next week, having sort of a coronation type thing, just like Merida did a number of years ago.
And you're right. I give these characters credit. It was 100 degrees. It's a dry heat, though, they say, in California, but it was still quite hot.
It was in the 90s, but there were times when they said it was like 108 or whatever. It was really hot.
Here's another thing we recommend. Sleeping Beauty Castle has a walkthrough, and it sort of tells the story of Sleeping Beauty, and it features a lot of Maleficent, and there's Maleficent right there, which is kind of nice and spooky. So I highly recommend. It's something that you could very easily overlook. Not often is there anybody in there, really, so we would recommend taking a walk through that castle.
Well, the stories are told. The story is told in like dioramas, and so it's definitely it definitely is worth stopping for. And there's also a high-def video version on the ground floor, which I did not know about. So if you can't make those steps, you'll be able to see, I guess, a video of it, and that's something I'll probably check out next time just to see what that's like.
Absolutely. I would definitely want to check that out. And one more thing I forgot to mention, it is delightfully air-conditioned in that castle.
But now it's time for lunch, and Sometimes we leave the park to go to lunch. We don't always eat inside Disneyland. And we love to go to the Pizza Press, which is really about a 10-minute walk, just like our hotel was, but in a little bit different direction across from Disneyland. And the Pizza Press, it's not a huge location. I believe they're open from 9 a.m. till about 1 a.m. We usually go around 11:30 because it is a smaller, there's not as many inside tables, and especially on a 100-degree day. You're looking for inside. But they do custom-built 10-inch pizzas that you can have as many toppings as you want, as much of the toppings as you want. And it's about $10. So we
Definitely,
often
yes.
split the pizza.
I love the Pizza Press. Awesome pizza. I never complain about leaving the park if I know we're going to the Pizza Press.
Well, we often, this is something we found last year, and I kept hearing about it. And it's like, I want to leave. I want to go try this place because everybody loves it. And I'm just so glad that we found it. We don't leave the park often for food. Occasionally, like I used to do Jamba Juice a lot, but for some reason I don't head over there as much. But this is just a very good lunch. It is quick. They make the pizzas in just a few minutes. It is, inexpensive and filling.
It is very filling. Actually, the first time we went on this trip, we each had our own pizza. And this is one of the good things about having the hotel right down the street, right across from the park. We were able to put our leftover pizzas in our little fridge in the hotel. Next time we went back to Pizza Press, I think it was on our last day, we split a pizza, and it was more than enough for me. Of course, I loaded it up with the meats and all that. But look at how good that... I'm getting hungry right now.
And plus they have like specialty craft beers that are local, plus the food is locally sourced. So it's just, to me, it's someplace that we try to go every trip now.
Right. Sort of like our own little hidden gem.
Well, not too hidden. There I am getting... the one thing that I didn't like last year, they didn't have unsweetened iced tea, and now they do. So it was freshly brewed, which I liked.
The tea was great. What kind of tea is
just
that?
regular, I guess it's just regular fresh brewed tea.
Because I normally don't like the tea. I usually get Diet Coke. I tried your tea, and I was hooked on the tea. So very good. And there it is. That's the tea right there.
Plus, they do have coupons occasionally, like on the Visit Anaheim site. I believe they may have an annual pass discount.
That's what they said, yeah, pass
Yeah,
holder.
so usually you can get about 10% more off.
So after the Pizza Press, we ran back to the park, and we ran into some show viewers here.
Well, it was really nice. They had written to us the previous day, Megan and Heather, Heather's Megan's mom, and I think I may have written them back and just said I don't know where we'll be or whatever. But then all of a sudden we ran into them.
In coincidence. It worked out really good, and they were super nice, and we thoroughly enjoyed chatting. And I just want to say I wish the best to Megan in her goal to become an Imagineer. So that would be wonderful. Have some good Imagineering talent behind the helm there.
And here we see the red monorail, but you were off to ride the Matterhorn. The Matterhorn is something I don't ride quite as often anymore. Like that, it's not the Casey Jr. for me. I'm getting a little older, and it's a little bumpy.
I am the same age as you. And let me tell you, you absolutely could have ridden the horn this time. It was not that bad. I think they've somehow softened the seats from last year.
It was so bumpy last time, and I'm just like, I'm not sure about this,
Well, the Matterhorn was updated last year, and you just saw the Yeti. Well, there's the Yeti right there, the all-new moving Yeti. So it was for the 60th anniversary, and I think it's a nice update.
Well, the Matterhorn opened in 1959, and we found out on DVD yesterday that it was the first thrill ride in the park, but also Walt wasn't really sure about it. It is 147 feet. Only the Tower of Terror, I believe, at the Disneyland Resort is taller, but don't quote me on that. This is the tallest spot in Disneyland.
And both sides are unique. They're very different. It's not exactly a mirror image of itself. So it's a lot of fun. I enjoy the Matterhorn and Hyperspace Mountain. Love Hyperspace Mountain.
Not
so glad
so
they still
bumpy.
have it. Not at all bumpy. Very smooth.
I used to like bumpy attractions, but again, you get a little older and it's like, well, I like my smooth attractions better.
One thing I really like about Hyperspace Mountain is it still has paper fast pass capability, just like all of Disneyland. So you don't have to plan it months in ahead. You can just go there in the morning, get a fast pass, and enjoy the ride. Autopia, now presented by Honda, was updated since our last trip.
Right, and that they received new paint in the cars. It was like 100 degrees this day too.
We've mentioned that like 3 or 4 times, but it wasn't that bad.
Well, it kept the lines a little bit down because Autopia is one of the longer lines sometimes in the park.
Right.
But again, they received a new paint job. I don't think there was a lot changed except that in the engines.
There's the House of the Future, little hidden tribute there to the House of the Future while you're waiting in line at Autopia.
I'm just going to mention about Hyperspace Mountain. We have no idea if that's coming back after Galaxy, what is it called? The Galaxy?
Ghost Galaxy.
Ghost Galaxy. We don't know what's
Not
going to happen
Guardians
with
of the
it.
Galaxy. Oh, good. Maybe it'll come back as Guardians of the Ghost Galaxy.
There's too much
That would be the
Guardians
ultimate.
of the Galaxy.
Guardians of the Ghost Galaxy Mountain.
Okay, so Autopia is the only existing Tomorrowland attraction dating back to the opening day. Did you know that?
That's right. July 17th, 1955.
I did
Remember
not
the
know
classic black and white special with like Sammy Davis Jr. driving these things?
No, I don't. I
You
wish
have
I did.
seen it.
I may have seen it.
Frank
I've seen a lot
Sinatra?
of things. I don't. Okay, are you kidding?
No, we've seen it
I don't
together.
remember that. I don't remember it.
Oh, boy.
It's like
We're going to have to watch that again.
So it's like a Rat Pack special? Is that what it was? Like,
The
I
Rat
don't
Pack,
know.
we're indeed there. That is true. Art Linkletter.
I do. Art Linkletter is
You
in
heard of Ronald Reagan? He was also there
yes,
as a broadcaster.
I remember Ronald Reagan and Art Linkletters and everything, and I remember the Brownie cameras, but I don't remember the Rat Pack being in it.
Well, back in those days, there was no rail there. It was sort of an open Autopia, so I'm sure it was much, much different. It is a bit before our time. We're not that old yet.
Well, you know, I was born in '66, so I was about 11 years after
This
park
Autopia here
opened.
at Disneyland, let me just tell you, far, far superior to the Walt Disney World version, which is called the Grand Prix.
So why do you think that?
Because it's longer, it has all sorts of hills. You go off-road into the dirt at one point. There's much interesting things to see.
Well, I like both of them. Like this is, I believe, longer, but the other one you can see a lot of Tomorrowland.
Look at
and
this,
I like
we're
that too.
off-road.
But you know what? Everybody was stopping. Like both times we rode, everybody was stopping. Nobody
I don't
wanted
know
to go
why.
anywhere.
I think
I
that
don't know what was
perhaps
going on.
because we're getting towards the end, and it was maybe it's so hot people want to get out.
On the first time, and this was probably the first time. The people in front of us, it was like they didn't know what a gas pedal was. So it would be like
They're young drivers
and stop.
They're learning.
I've never been stopped so much on it. So
Oh,
I
this
thought
is
it
a
was
highlight.
interesting.
This is one of my favorite parts of our show. We're going to be on Big Thunder, and actually a friend of ours recorded us just for a minute. There we are about to enjoy the ride. But what I like most is watching you taking pictures from the cart that we're about to see. Anyway, here we are on Big Thunder, which now offers views of the future Star Wars land.
Well, Big Thunder Mountain opened in 1979, I believe. Ours in Walt Disney World
A little
opened
earlier,
right, they were a little earlier. Ours was like 1982. And in 2014, the ride received new effects and a new track and trains. And there I am, I'm taking pictures.
I
There's
love
Star
watching
Wars
you
land.
taking pictures while we're on the roller coaster.
Now you ended up walking off of Big Thunder Mountain.
That's right. It was amazing. When you're a big Disney fan, one of your favorite things that you always want is for a ride to break down. So I actually broke down right where the earthquake scene is, and you're about to see that coming up. So I got to walk through all the sets and be walked off. And then they gave me a golden ticket to go on any ride the rest of that day, and I think you and I chose Peter Pan for that.
And the funny thing is, when we were on this, either this time or another time, we stopped for a minute in that same area.
And there is Star Wars Land. You can even see the parking structure there. And that used to be Big Thunder Ranch, where our favorite attraction of all, the running of the goats, was held every day.
I miss the goats. I always say it. I like goats better than Star Wars. So that was really.
Well, Star Wars, it's hard to compete with goats.
This is where you got walked
I will
off.
show you the exact spot. Now, I was in the very front car, so as you're going up the hill, almost to the very, very top of this hill where the big explosion is, it stopped right there. So I just got to watch all these effects going off for a while, and eventually the lights came on, and we walked up the stairs to the right of the train right over there and just kind of walked through all the sets. So it was really cool.
I'm kind of sorry I missed it, just because I do enjoy getting walked off attractions too.
Yeah, that's how you know you're a big Disney fan. But I think you went back, again, another thing that we liked so much about having the room so close is you were able to go and have a couple hours nap, so you were in
Maybe
full
an
force for
hour.
the evening.
And I'm just going to say, I think I was having a pretty good hair day that day too, which is surprising.
You like the wind effect?
Yeah.
That's very nice. We should hire that wind to follow
Yeah.
you around at all times. So Anyway, that was Big Thunder. Now we're going to move on to the Mark Twain. Even though the Rivers of America are technically closed, the Mark Twain is still open for guests to explore. But we also met the Shadow Man here, Dr. Facilier, kind of wandering around outside the Mark Twain, which was very fun. I thoroughly enjoyed talking to the Shadow Man.
And he does wear purple. Purple is my favorite color.
I believe you told him that.
I probably did say that.
So we will link to all these fun character videos, and I always enjoy talking to them. It's interesting to see a villain, though, someone that you would normally see around Halloween at Walt Disney World, just kind of walking around here at Disneyland. So,
well, we've seen Cruella de Vil also. She was on Main Street.
That's exactly right. Now, we got to go up into the wheelhouse, and we just signed in there, and there is the wheelhouse. It's been a number of years since we've been up here, so it was, even though the Mark Twain wasn't moving, it was still powered on, the steam was coming out, so it was fun to be up there.
Well, it's not going to be running till, just like the Disneyland Railroad, because of the Rivers of America construction, until next summer. So almost a year still away until that and Fantasmic start.
That's right. We had that exciting announcement made while we were there, so it was pretty cool to know that.
Well, it was nice to have it confirmed. The E.P. Ripley debuted with Disneyland, and Walt Disney occasionally drove this train.
I think it's very nice that they are keeping this open. So even though the trains aren't running, you can actually go and sit right in the engineer's seat there. We're looking out the front of the train and explore the area, places you're normally not able to walk around.
Well, there was a display in back that we couldn't make it to because there was painting going on, and we never made it back there again. Now, when you see this building, if you ever see the Two Brothers segment of Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln or The American Adventure, there was a scene with a coffin, and it was filmed right there.
Yeah, so that was something that you normally don't get to actually go to. And of course, we did not go there just because they were painting. But normally, you know, guests are allowed back there now while this is happening. So again, I think it was another nice touch, just like the Mark Twain. And there is Walt himself in the same area that we're standing at right now.
And they did the same also with the Jungle Cruise. When that was closed, they had they called it a land cruise, so they did entertainment there. You know, they've done extra entertainment as everything's been going on, which I think is awesome.
One of our favorite attractions of all, the Haunted Mansion in its normal form. Last time we saw it, it was still Haunted Mansion Holiday.
Which I love. Like, if we don't go there this year, I will very much miss that because it's one of my favorite attractions at any park.
Absolutely. Jack, I love seeing Haunted Mansion Holiday, Jack Skellington and Oogie Boogie and all those characters.
And the interesting thing about the Haunted Mansion is just like Pirates of the Caribbean, they were envisioned to be walk-through attractions and not, you know, like a ride. But I guess you can put so many more people, so many more guests through in like omnimovers and boats and such than if they were walking.
Wasn't this originally going to be the Museum of the Weird?
I think there was something, because we were watching Tony Baxter, I believe, talk about that yesterday. And also he talked about the Hatbox Ghost and how it originated with the mansion, but only for a couple of weeks. The exterior for the Haunted Mansion was actually completed in 1963. But the attraction did not open until 1969 for several reasons, including Walt Disney died in
66, right? I mean, it was just very odd that there is the Hatbox Ghost now.
Right, and at first they were saying, I think it was like, well, was the Hatbox Ghost with the original mansion? But Tony Baxter had showed where he was mentioned.
Where the cleaners had to clean him, and he had pulled out that little slip showing that it did exist. So that was a very interesting special we were watching.
And also in New Orleans Square, and I think this is also part of, because of the Rivers of America not being able to be utilized to the fullest, you had the Jambalaya Jazz out here in the evenings. I believe they were on land earlier, but that was fantastic.
So now we're going to take another walk back to the hotel, and we're going to check out the Fifth. And it was nice, the ability to do that when you're right across the street. So the Fifth is on top of the 5th floor of the main building of the hotel.
Well, I believe the main building is all new, very recently, and the Fifth just opened like weeks ago. And it is one of my favorite places that we went to on this trip, and we went there many times. I
did 3 full nights there. I mean, this is sunset. Again, the hotel is called the Grand Legacy. The Fifth is where we're at now. It's sort of a bar or
it's a lounge.
It's more of a lounge atmosphere.
They had food, and I wasn't expecting too much from the food, but it was fantastic. And there's Space Mountain and the Matterhorn, so you can see some of both Disneyland and Disney California Adventure. And as the sun went down, they started putting fires in these fire pits, and it doesn't look busy in part because it's really not open to regular guests yet. It's really only for hotel guests.
They were not promoting it at this time. I suspect it'll get much busier, and you'll see why in a minute. I mean, here is fireworks time. You're able to watch the world of color if you look this way. There's a dance party that goes on at California Adventure. That's right there. And here are the fireworks from Disneyland right here. And I think we're going to capture the very first Mickey blast in a second.
And I believe they consider still this in soft opening. So eventually, I think other guests are going to be able to come up here, just even maybe from the park, but I'm sure there'll be some way they have to regulate it, because I think you can get a few hundred people up here, but that's about it. And the fireworks view was, as
amazing,
you can see,
phenomenal. I mean, this is just such a great place to watch. They pipe in the music. It all matches up perfectly. The food here, the drinks, everything was great. I have nothing but very good things to say about this experience. And again, we paid for all this on our own. It's not like, this was given to us. This was something I would do many, many times.
I wish that we had eaten up here more than once, because the food was better than almost anything we had this trip. I was very surprised at that. And you mentioned here you were sitting and these girls just kind of ran in front of you, which is fine.
So I figured that's right. I would use that to my advantage. But I mean, the seat that we're at here, that's the perfect seat. So take the seat on the right as you walk in, and you'll get a perfect view of the fireworks. And those were the Disneyland Forever fireworks that are going away. They just announced they're going away September 5th. So.
But they'll have the Halloween fireworks. They'll have, they're going to have fireworks a lot of days through the end of the year.
And there is Walt himself in the lobby there.
Right. And I thought the lobby was very nice. But now we're in Disneyland again. It was hard each day to know whether we should spend the evening on the 5th or in the park. So
the thing is, the beauty is you could do both.
Well, fortunately, we were there
such a short walk.
Right. Well, fortunately, we were there for the week, so we could do both. Paint the Night is going away on September 5th. We've heard rumors it could go to another park, or it could become seasonal at Disneyland. This is my favorite nighttime parade, of all time.
I agree. It is absolutely spectacular. I will be very sad if it glows away forever, and I'll even be sadder if they sell all the light bulbs from it,
past, Main Street Electrical Parade.
No, but let me say this. I'll give a tip. Our favorite place of all to watch Paint the Night is right in front of Small World on the second parade. It's definitely better to wait for the second parade, as the first one can get very, very crowded.
Right. Well, we always wait. We always wait for the second one. We watched the first one a couple of times.
Well, this is the first one we're looking at right now,
yes.
Actually. I recorded that because we happened to be there.
We weren't planning to necessarily watch the parade we usually don't. We usually wait for the second because it's a lot less crowded. But in this case, we did watch it from this location. The Paint the Night Parade debuted about a year and a half ago with Disneyland 60. So there was several years put into this, so I just can't imagine they're going to have it go away forever. We just don't know where it will be. There is a version also in Hong Kong.
Yes, the Hong Kong version is very similar, except they do not have the Frozen, Anna and Elsa Frozen float.
And there's more than 1 million glowing lights in this parade, and they tell 8 different stories. I mean, you have the Cars segment, you have Frozen, you have the Monsters, Inc.
Princesses, so many great things. Mickey at the end.
Yes, and with a kinetic sculpture, which we'll probably see in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
This is, the Mac is 54 feet long, and this is the longest float in the entire parade. And there's so many lights on him as well.
I can't say enough how much I enjoy this.
I love this parade. I just hope they keep it.
I think they're going to keep it. I mean, they say it's closing. They didn't necessarily say it's moving away. We don't know, of course, but it hasn't been announced that it's leaving.
It could become seasonal. I expect either it'll be seasonal or it's going to go someplace else. I just don't know.
Now, there is that rumor that they might swap it with our Main Street Electrical Parade. After this, though, would Disneyland guests accept the Main Street Electrical Parade?
Main Street is very nice, but this is a step above. We would accept this.
Oh, yes. I think we would have the bargain in that deal.
And the Main Street Electrical Parade is a terrific parade. It's what I grew up with. But once you have Paint the Night, it's really hard to kind of go backwards because it's like, steroids. It's like Main Street Electrical Parade, but enhanced a billion times. And it is just a fantastic parade. I mean, if we had it, I would be thrilled. It would bring me into the Magic Kingdom.
It just seems to go well.
I just don't expect it.
It goes well with Disneyland. I will always equate it with Disneyland. The scale is perfect for Disneyland.
And apparently this kinetic sculpture was created by the same person who did it. And we didn't see the Rio Olympics opening, but I guess they had a sculpture as well, and it's supposedly designed by the same person.
I saw that on Facebook.
I saw
That's very interesting. So anyway, we love this parade. If you want to watch it, highly recommend wait for the second parade. Any place you can get, really, but we prefer right in front of It's a Small World. That seems like a great place.
And we only have a month about to see it until we find out what's going to happen with it.
So what a wonderful time. We still have so much more, though. We're going to tease next week. We had a wonderful experience with these characters, the Critter Breakfast at Storytellers at the Grand Californian Hotel.
And that's, I believe his name's Kenai.
Kenai,
And
yes.
then there's Chip and Dale and Pluto, and it wasn't that busy, and so we had the characters like
look at how hard they're working right now. Chip and Dale never worked harder.
This was one of the best experiences as far as a character meal, that I've ever had. That and Inventions over at Disneyland Paris.
Absolutely, I agree. You don't want to miss this segment next week, that's for sure. What else do we have?
Well, we're going to have Frozen live at the Hyperion. We're going to talk about that. I loved that show. I wasn't expecting to. Luigi's Rollicking Roadsters. I think a little more of Disney California Adventure. And eventually Walt Disney World.
And look at these hams. It's hard to keep a straight face and concentrate when I'm watching these two characters.
I don't even know what Dale's doing on the floor. Like, I don't know what's going on here, but it was it was a lot of fun to watch that. And I get a smile every time I see that. And we're going to have videos, separate videos with Chip and Dale and the Kenai and all that.
Anyway, that's another show. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We want to thank our sponsors, MEI Travel, Mouse Fan Travel,
Maple Leaf Tickets,
and Theme Park Connection, our original sponsor. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you all next week.
Have a great week.